Hey guys, my name is Michaela Fortlander. I am currently a sophomore majoring in psychology with a minor in social work. So to start off today, I actually have two different objects that I want to share with you. The first is a violin that has been passed down through my family for 4 generations. And then secondly is a Bible along with a family tree inside of it. So before I dive into explaining what these objects represent to me and my family, how about some family history? Unfortunately, on my mom's side, we don't talk about it much. So all we know is that she is part Irish and part German. And then on my dad's side, we are mostly German. We don't know what the other portion is, but he and my grandfather have a joke that our last name is unique because we're German. Anyway, so now I'm going to explain the objects and what they mean. So the violin, like I said, has been passed down through my family for 4 generations. It's significant in my family, not only because our lives, like now, revolve around music, but because of the history behind our love for the music. As a young boy, my father remembers playing around with his great grandmother and his grandmother, playing school at the home they lived in Cleveland, Ohio. But his grandmother used to pretend to be a music teacher and used to fiddle around on this violin. And the violin, like, it didn't just appear in her living room. Her husband actually used to tour around the U.S. and perform with some pretty famous people, I believe. One being Tommy Darcy. I don't know exactly, but he was pretty famous back then. After all my great grandfather's travels were finished, my dad remembers having his eyes glued on this violin. He remembers dancing around with his grandma, playing it himself as a young boy. And the reason why this violin represents who I am and who we are as the Fortlander family is because it's incredible. It's had such a large impact on our life. Our family is involved with music, like I said. This violin sits on a shelf in our musically themed living room, and every time I glance at it, I can't help but smile because it means so much. It represents what music has done for me, what music has shaped my life, and it's incredible. It's I know I know music can be seen as a hobby, but coming from my background, growing up the way I did, I see it as more of a lifestyle, more as something that's meaningful to my family, and it defines who we are. This violin represents our love for music and where it came from. So, 4 generations worth out of one little violin. I believe the date on this is 1926. And then, secondly, moving on to the Bible, this particular Bible has been around since 1809. It's remarkable the condition that it's still in, and you can still, with the family tree that's inside, my dad can still pick out his Grandma Midge and his Grandpa Eugene. Anyway, it represents my faith, my father's faith, my mother's faith in God. As a boy, my father grew up not knowing what this mysterious object was that sat on his grandfather's desk. But one day he walked in his house, their house, like his grandmother's house, and found her sitting in a chair reading a verse from Psalms. And then he he was invited to join the reading, and from that day on, he and his grandmother would read a verse every day. And when she passed, he decided himself that he would continue that tradition. So when I was a young girl, he brought this Bible out and asked me if I wanted to join him in his daily reading. And so I said yes. And so from this day forward, we still do it. And this Bible just represents the Presbyterian faith within our Fortlander family. Our faith started a long ago on Summit Street in Cleveland, Ohio, and continues to grow stronger in my hometown of Walkerton, Indiana. So it's a big thing, but it has such a large meaning on my life. Without this, I don't know if I would have ever been introduced to my faith or introduced to who God was and the meaning of family. So I am thankful for my great-grandmother, Midge, and my great-grandfather, Eugene. And both objects came from Summit Street in Cleveland, Ohio, and they made their way, I think it's 4 hours or something, to Walkerton from there. And it's simple things, but they mean so much. Along with these two items, my dad hopes to pass it down to us kids, meaning either myself or my older sister or my older brother. But more than likely, both will go to me, he hopes, because both of these objects are something that we both believe in, something that both have impacted our lives. And so I cannot wait for the day that I have these two in my possession and I can continue on the tradition of passing them through the family. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you know a little more about me. Again, my name is Michaela Fortlander, in case you forgot. Anyway, have a good night.